Hello, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. How are you, my dear? Where are you from? Watching the subscribe. Make the like, guys. When the live has been reached under 100 people, then we will start to write the name in the chat. Yeah, guys. Make the like. Encourage the like, guys. Hello, hi, Power. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up guys to join the stream, make the like and subscribe the channel. I also want to know where are you from watching the stream, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. 30 people is watching. When it has been reached under 100 people, then we will start to write the name of the everyone in the chat, guys. Hurry up guys, make the like and subscribe the channel. I also want to know from the everyone, drop your flag of your country. Where are you from watching, guys? Surya, just give me a while, my dear. I will start to write. Victor, how are you, Victor? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Victor. Surya from Pakistan, thank you so much for joining, Surya. Yeah, Surya, I will write your name, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Umme. Let me set the goal, guys. Just give me a while. I will start to write the name of the everyone. Hi Surya, how are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hi Tunis, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. I really appreciate and respect of your joining. Where are you from watching, guys? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. How are you, my dear? Surya, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Surya. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel to write your name in the chat. I write your name, my dear. Hurry up to start to write your name. I write your name, my dear. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. Make the like and subscribe the channel and write in the chat where are you from watching. Surya, I write your name, my dear. Make the like and subscribe the channel. Hi Venus, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Vinsa, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Vinsa, how are you, Vinsa? Hi dear, how are you? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Make the like and subscribe the channel. Please don't write the Hindi, my dear. Mahavesh, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Mahavesh, how are you, Mahavesh? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Make the like and subscribe the channel, guys, and wrap your flag of your country. Aname, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Hassan, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Hassan. Farishan, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Farishan. How are you, Farishan? Yeah, I am trying, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Sophia, how are you, Sophia, sister? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Lexi, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Lexi, how are you, Lexi? I appreciate after joining to the Satarim. Ayan, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Ayan, how are you, Ayan? Thank you so much for joining, Ayan. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Make the like and subscribe the channel. And also how to drop your flag of your country. Where are you from watching, my dear? Your joining is my pleasure. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Hadi, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Hadi, how are you, Hadi? Thank you so much for joining, Hadi. Malek, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Malek. Farah, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Farah. Aza, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Ada. Some more, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, some more. John, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, John. How are you, John? Hi, Ka, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Jack, how are you, Jack? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Jack. Taram, thank you so much for joining, Taram. Rafila, thank you so much for joining, Rafeli. Rajan Rafeli. Thank you so much for the joining, my dear. Make the like and subscribe the channel, guys. Hurry up, guys, and share the live with your friends so they have to join the last session. And hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Pavani, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Pavani, how are you, Pavani? Vinyak, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Vinyak, how are you, Vinyak? Farah, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Farah. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat and make the like and subscribe the channel. Nina, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Nina. How are you, Nina? Thank you so much for joining my Satarim, my dear. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel. And also write in the chat where are you from watching the South Korean. Hello, dear. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Nastaya, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. How are you, Nastia? Thank you so much for subscribing, Nina. How are you, my dear? Where are you from watching? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Haraman, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Haraman. Lilia, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Marina, thank you so much for joining. Abdullah, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Abdullah. Ayaz, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Ayaz. 16 people is watching right now, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat and also drop the flag of your country. Where are you from watching, guys? Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Maria, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Maria. Arjun, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Arjun. Alana, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Alana. Make the like and subscribe the channel, guys, and drop your flag of your country in the chat. Hurry up, guys, drop your flag of your country in the chat. Also, thank you so much for joining, my dear. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel. Aruj, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Aruj. Shifa, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Shifa. How are you, Shifa? Johnny, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Johnny. You are all our respectable, guys. Please subscribe and like and subscribe, guys. Adoro, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Hurry up, guys. If someone has to make donation, I'll write the name of the Superman with a different color of the pen, guys. Yeah, these are the pen. Lois, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Lois. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel. Lena, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Lena. Thank you so much for the joining. Maslorga, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Maslorga. Mariam, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Mariam. How are you, Mariam? Ayan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Ayan. Sorry, Ayan. Lena, how are you, Lena? Thank you so much for joining, my dear. I appreciate after joining my last session, my love. Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Ali Khan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Yeah, guys, if someone has a do super chat, I'll write the name with a different color of the pen. Thank you so much for joining, Lena. How are you, my dear? Nikita, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Nikita. How are you, my dear? Fahim, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Fahim. Aza, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Aza. Savas, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, my dear. Jahini, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Karel, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Karel. Jawar, Areen, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Sultan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Sultan. Vishanvi, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Vishavi. Aniti, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Ismail, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Ismail. Zayan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Zayan. Yeah, guys, if someone has a do super chat, I will write the name of the Superman with the different color of the pen, guys. Vinish, I write your name, my dear. Looks, I write your name, my dear. Mariam, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Mariam. Hurry up, guys. Meme, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, meme. Mia, thank you so much for joining. Aliyah, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, my dear. Ante, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Aniti, how are you, dear? Ghost, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Zizi, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Zizi. Vishanvi, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Vishanvi. Adore, how are you, Adore? Thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, my dear. Hadi, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Hadi. Ken, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Ken. Garan, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Eva, how are you, Eva? Thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Zuzite, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel and tell me in the comment section where you from watching the Saturday. Chatty, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel. Nina, I write your name, my dear, and many times. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Aleph, how are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining, Aleph. How are you, my dear? Aleph, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Aleph. Aleph, if you have to do a super chat, my dear, I will write your name with a different color of the pen, Aleph. Thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Aleph. I respect of you joining my live stream, my dear. I see you supporting on the many Saturday, my dear. You should also have to do a small donation on my live stream, my dear. Yeah, Alice, are you watching, my dear? Aleph, are you watching my Saturday, my dear? Kara, thank you so much for joining to the Saturday, Kara. Thank you so much, Aleph. Have a lot of respect, my dear. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much for donating on my Saturday. Aleph, please subscribe my channel, my dear. I'm writing your name with the green pen. Thank you so much, Aleph. Have a lot of respect. Thank you so much for donating on my Saturday, Aleph. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much. I see you supporting on many Saturday. Thank you so much for joining my Saturday, Aleph. Yeah, have a lot of respect. Please subscribe my channel, Aleph. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much for supporting me, my dear. Aleph, you should subscribe me, my dear, please, and also have to join my Saturday when you got feel free. Thank you so much. Have a lot of respect of your joining, my dear. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. I have a lot of respect for your joining, my dear. Thank you so much for supporting me, Aleph. Are you there, Aleph? I'm also gonna giving you blue, Aleph. Thank you so much. I'm also gonna giving you a blue on the stream. Let me write also Samir. Last one second, Aleph. You should also get a screenshot. Thank you so much, Aleph. I have a lot of respect of you joining my stream, Aleph. Aleph, you can snapshot in, my dear. Thank you so much for supporting on my last stream, Aleph. Have a lot of respect, my dear. Aleph, are you watching the stream? Just hi and just hi on the stream, my dear. Thank you so much, Aleph. I have a lot of respect of you joining my stream. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much for making a donation on my stream, Aleph. I have a lot of respect. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much. Always keep joining my stream. Thank you so much. I have also give you below, my dear. You should have to also support me on my stream. Okay, my love. As much as you can, you should have to keep supporting on my stream. Okay, my dear. I am new on there. Yeah. You should have to make a small donation on my stream. Thank you so much for joining, Alice. Have a lot of respect, my dear. Lisa, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Lisa, Ayan, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Ayan, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Malala, dear. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining my stream, Aleph. I have a lot of respect of your joining, of your donation. Really, it's a lot for me, my dear. Your joining is my pleasure. I have a lot of respect. Shiza, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Shiza. Aleph, if you want to some more name on there, my dear, I will write you some more name if you want. Yeah, if you want to see, I will write with the different color of the pen, my dear. I'll write too many name for you, my dear. Beste, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Beste. Yeah, you are very amazing, Samir. I have write Samir, my dear. It looks that I have write Samir. Look that I have also write Samir. Yeah, thank you, my dear. You should also keep supporting me. Okay, Aleph. Thank you so much for joining my stream. As much as you can, okay. I will also be waiting for you, my dear. Thank you so much. I will pray for you, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. God bless you, healthy life, and also God give you many more happiness, my dear. Your joining is my pleasure. I really appreciate of your joining, my dear. Thank you so much for joining, my dear. You have encouraged the watching of my stream. It has only been for you, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Yeah, guys, do super chat and keep supporting me, guys. If someone has do a super chat, I'll write the name with the different color of the pen. Yeah, guys, to make the day wild, guys. Victoria, thank you so much for joining. Victoria, how are you, Victoria? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Victoria. Hi, Pawan. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Pawan. Thank you so much, guys. Corestal, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Corestal. How are you, Corestal? I respect. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my love, supporting my live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lot of respect of your supporting on my stream. Aleph, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Aleph, thank you so much, my dear. Yeah, Aleph, thank you so much for joining and making. Thank you so much, my dear. I have a lot of respect of your joining to the stream. You have make my day. God bless you. Healthy life. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much for supporting my stream. Yeah, Aleph, thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. I have a lot of respect, my dear. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Aleph. I have a lot of respect for you, my dear. Thank you, Aleph. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Aleph. I have a lot of respect after joining my stream. Thank you, Aleph. You can get the snapshot, my dear. Aleph, are you watching, my dear? You have to get the snapshot of this one, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much for making donation on my stream. Thank you, Aleph. Aleph, can you do a right chat if you can easily, my dear? Yeah, if you can a red or a pink? Sorry, pink. I was asking about the pink chat. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. Thank you so much for joining, Aleph. I have a lot of respect of your joining to the stream, my dear. You have to make that day, my dear. Addy, thank you so much for joining to the stream. You are every viewers, guys, to pray for the Aleph. Aleph is a very kind lady. She has to join the last session. God bless the Aleph with the healthy life. Yeah, it's a lot for me. She has to join my last session and keep supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting, Jana. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Jana. I'm writing the name, guys. You know, okay, Thai. I'm for Bye. Thank you so much, Aleph. Thank you so much. Please always join my live session, my dear, and keep supporting me. Have a lot of respect for your joining. This here is only for you, my dear. You have to join my live session. You have to support me. Always join my stream and also subscribe my channel. Okay, my dear. Don't forget the Ifreen IQ. Okay, my dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. Guys, every respected member to pray for the Aleph. She has to join my stream. Thank you so much, Aleph. I really appreciate of you joining to the stream, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Esther, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Esther. Leon, thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, Leon? Leon, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yeah, guys, if someone has to keep donating on the stream, I'll write the name of the gifter like that, guys. To supporting on the stream, I will always to write the name of the gifter with the different name, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Carolina, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Carolina. Adil, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Adil, how are you, Adil? Khadija, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Khadija. Nikki, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Nikki, how are you, Nikki? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my dear. Hoor, thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, Hoor? I appreciate of you joining to the stream, Hoor. Dara, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Dara. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Everyone have to make the like and subscribe the channel, guys. Tanjore, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Tanjore. Everyone, Alice, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Alice. Hello, my dear Reagan. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I have a lot of respect after joining to the stream. Yeah, guys, tell me in the comment section where you're from watching the screen. Your joining is my pleasure. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you, Jamshed. Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much for watching the screen, my dear. I have a lot of respect of your joining, my dear Hamza. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Hamza. Danware, thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, Danware? Thank you so much for joining to the last stream, my dear. Hi, Angel. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Angel. Keep joining us, keep tapping, and keep joining, and keep sharing, my dear. Mayor, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Mayor, how are you, my dear? Afak, thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, Afak? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Afak. Regina, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Regina, how are you, Regina? After respect of your joining to the Satorim. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining to the last session. I really appreciate and respect of your joining, and I also want to know from the Arab people, where are you from watching the Satorim? Rayan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Rayan. Otera, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Otera, how are you, Otera? Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Garema, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Gorema. Yeah, guys, Dory, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Dory. Cupcake, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Cupcake. Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Thank you so much for joining. You are watching from watching Mumbai, my dear. Thank you so much for watching my Satorim. Can you do a super chat on my Satorim, my dear? Yeah, guys, if someone has do a super chat on the Satorim. Hello, Saminder. Thank you so much for joining, my dear. Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. I really appreciate and respect of your joining to the Satorim. If someone has to make a donation on the Satorim, I will write the name of the Superman with the different color of the pen, guys. Thank you so much, Suleiman. Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Suleiman. I respect of your joining to the Satorim, guys. Make the like and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Anin, how are you, Anin? Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Anin. I have to respect of your joining to the Satorim. Yeah, guys, hurry up to write your name, guys. Marwan, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Marwan. Make the like and subscribe the channel, guys. Hurry up to make the like and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, guys. Always have to keep supporting us. If someone has to do a super chat on the Satorim, I will write the name of the Superman with the different color of the pen. Manu, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Manu. How are you, Manu? Laura, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Sarah, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Hurry up, guys. Hurry up. Manaf, how are you, Manaf? Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Manaf. Thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Manaf. Hurry up, guys. Rajesh, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Rajesh. How are you, Rajesh? I have to respect of your joining to the Satorim. JJ, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, JJ. Thank you so much. Where are you from watching, my dear? Oh, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim. Mano, where are you from watching, my dear? Seville, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Seville. I really appreciate and respect of your joining. Had your dinner? I did the dinner, my dear. Vad, thank you so much for joining. Vad, how are you, Vad? Where are you from watching, my dear? Dev, thank you so much for joining to the Satorim, Dev. How are you, Dev? Guys, can do a super chat. Any Superman can do a super chat, guys. I will write the name of the Superman with the different color of the pen, guys. Which country? I'm from Pakistan, my dear. Saline, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Saline. I respect of your joining. Rani, how are you, Rani? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Muhammad, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Muhammad. How are you, Muhammad? If someone has do a super chat, guys, I write the Superman name of the Superman with the different color of the pen, guys. Someone can do a super chat, guys. Yeah, guys, only make a small donation on the Satarim, guys. Hurry up, my dear. Horam, I write your name, my dear. Taz, thank you so much for joining, Taz. Thank you so much for watching the Satarim, guys. To make a small donation on the Satarim, guys. Wahab, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Wahab. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel and tell me in the comment section where are you from watching. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, guys. Yeah, guys, to make a small donation on my Satarim. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, guys. I have to respect of your joining to the Satarim. And also drop your flag of your country. Where are you from watching the Satarim, guys? Keep supporting, guys. Also keep supporting on my Satarim, guys. Hurry up to keep supporting on my Satarim, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. If someone has do a super chat, I will write the name of the Superman with the different color of the pen, guys. To do a super chat, guys. Jacob, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Jacob. I really appreciate and respect of your joining. Alia, how are you, Alia? Thank you so much for joining my Satarim. Yasin, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Yasin. Tamur, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Tamur. Rukia, hello Rukia, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Rukia. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my Satarim. Marley, how are you, Marley? Thank you so much for joining, Marley. Marley, where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my Satarim. Lily, how are you, Lily? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Lily. How are you, guys? Thank you. Malice, where are you from watching, Mali? Mali, where are you from watching, my dear? Rukia, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Rukia. Alice, how are you, Alice? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Where are you from watching, Alice? I'm from Queen, you from Pakistan. Okay, dear. Alice, where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Floating, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim. Yeah, guys, make the like and subscribe the channel and make a super chat on my Satarim. Romania, you are from Romania. Thank you so much for joining, Gabriel. Thank you so much for joining from Romania. Can you do a super chat, my dear, to make a small donation on my Satarim? Yeah, to make a small donation on my Satarim, I will write the name with the different color of the pen. Ikram, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Ikram. Thank you so much for joining my Satarim, my dear. Shahir, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Shahir. Yeah, guys, to make the like and subscribe the channel. Fajed, thank you so much for joining to the Satarim, Fajed. Daniel, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Daniel. How are you, Daniel? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Murda, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Khaled, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Khaled, how are you, my dear? Appreciate if you're joining to the stream. Johnny, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Johnny. Sammy, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Sammy. Devon, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Since, thank you so much for joining to the stream. It's my birthday, Sarah. Happy birthday, Sarah. Happy birthday to you, my dear. Thank you so much for joining, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Sarah. Happy birthday, Sarah. Happy birthday, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Sarah. David, thank you so much for joining to the stream, David. Welcome, dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Hurry up to write your name, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Nayan, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Nayan. Wax, how are you, Wax? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Wax. You are a great person, guys. Wax is our stream. Hi, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much. Wax is a great person, guys. I have to see him supporting on a different live. Thank you so much, Wax. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Wax. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Really, I have a lot of respect of you joining, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. How are you, Wax? Are you watching my stream, my dear? Thank you so much, Wax. Nikami Vlogger. Hi, Nikami. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Nikami. Hello, Wax. Are you watching my stream, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to joining my live session. Nayati, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Nikami Vlogger, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Nikami. Wax, are you watching my stream, my dear? Waxes, please just hi on the stream. Are you watching my stream, my dear? Waxes, are you watching my stream? Just hi on the screen, my dear. Fajr, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Wax, are you watching my stream, my dear? Just have Wax, please write in the chat. Are you watching in the stream? Vaxis, if you are watching my stream, just hi in the comment. Binasa, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Vax, or if you are watching my stream, just tell me in the comment section, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Vaxes, I'll write your name with a green pen, my dear. I'm waiting for your response. If you are watching my stream, please write that in the chat, my dear. Vax, if you are watching my stream, please write that in the chat. If you are watching the stream, my dear. I'm waiting for that, Vax. Vaxes. Thank you so much for joining us. If someone has do a super chat, guys, I will write the name of the Superman with a different color of the pen, guys. Amen. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. The Raven, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Darwin. Thank you so much for joining. Kalia, how are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, my dear? Where are you from watching? Right, guys, write your name in the chat. Write your name in the chat, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Make the like and subscribe the channel. Hurry up, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys. Make the like and subscribe the channel. Snoopy, thank you so much for joining to the stream. CJ, thank you so much for joining to the stream, CJ. Snoopy, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Snoopy. Yeah, guys, if someone has do a super chat, I will write the name of the Superman with a different color of the pen, guys. Hurry up to MJ. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, MJ. How are you, MJ? Thank you so much for joining, MJ. I really appreciate after joining to the stream to make the like and subscribe the channel. SR Khan, thank you so much for joining to the stream, SR Khan. Okay, Lana, thank you so much for joining, Lana. Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Lana. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. America, thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much for subscribing. Lana, can you do a small donation on my stream, my dear? Thank you so much for the liking and thank you so much for the subscribing. You know, always the US people almost have joined my stream and also have to support me. Thank you so much for joining my stream. If you can make a small donation on my stream, it's a request from you, my dear. You should have to make a small donation on my stream if you can easily, Lana. If you should have to permanently join my stream, I will also give you a below, my dear. You should have yeah, you will be got below if you have to permanently join my stream. Can you do my chorus, Novak? Yeah, why I write your name after Novak? I will write the name of the Novak. Thank you so much for joining my stream, my dear. Look that I am writing your name of the chorus having Novak. Okay, my dear. Can you do a small super chat on my stream? I'm also making the heart. Okay. I'm also making a breaking heart with your chorus. That's right. Lana, having a lot of respect, my dear. Can you do a small donation, Lana? Just make a small donation. Oh my God, I love it. Thank you so much, my dear. You can also get the snapshot. Look that. You should also get the snapshot of this one. Yeah, Lana. Have you got it, my dear? You should also get the snapshot of this one, my dear. I did. Thank you, Lana. Please do a small donation for because of this, my dear. Please just make a small donation on my stream to make me happy. Okay, I am waiting. I am here. You know, I am here on the stream from the 1 hour 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm waiting for that to someone has to make a donation on my stream, then I will go off. Yeah, you should have to make a small donation on my stream. You are so nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please to make a small donation. Okay, do a super chat and make me happy, my dear. Thank you so much. It's also a request from Lana. Okay, Lana. I hope you will do it, my dear. And Naya, thank you so much for joining to the stream. And Naya, thank you so much. Every audience, the Lana is a very kind lady. She has to join the stream. Yeah, Lana is going to doing a super chat, guys, on our stream. It would be our first super chat on the stream. Thank you so much, Lana. Thank you so much for joining. You are very great. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Lana, are you watching my stream, my dear? Khadija, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Khadija. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching my stream. Do you know about super chat, Lana? You should have to make a. You will be looking. Yeah, looks that there you will be showing a darrow of the icon. Can you do my sis Mina? Yeah, I will write your name of the sister sis Mina. Looks that and there is my supporter. These have to support me. I have to write the name of the supporter in the different color of the pill. I wish to Lana have to do a super chat on my stream on the today. I wish to Lana have do a super chat. I'm going to write your name of the sister. Okay, Lana. Mina. Okay, I'm going to write your name of the sister Mina. I will ask my mom right now. Yeah, you should ask to mom to make a small donation. Okay, I will pray for you and also a lot of respect, my dear. You should have to make a donation on there. Thank you so much, my dear. God bless you with a healthy life with you, and also have to God bless and healthy life of your mom and dad. You are very great. Thank you so much for joining, my dear. Yeah, to ask the mom to make us some, I need to be 18. I'm just 16. Your mom can, if you ask to the mom, she will make it. Zan, thank you so much for joining to stream. You know, I have too many friends, and there are under, but they have to do to support on there. Hina, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yeah, ask to her, my dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lana. Thank you so much, my dear. You should make a small donation of $5 to $10. Yeah, if you did not have to do a pink or a red, you should have to make a donation of a green. Okay, to make a green super chat to make my day. Yeah, and also to make me happy. Thank you so much for joining, my dear. God bless your mom. Thank you so much, Bog. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Bog. Every respected member have to write your name, guys, and also make the donating on my stream, guys. Mobin, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Mobin. I really appreciate and respect of your joining to the stream, guys. Yeah, guys, hurry up to make the like and subscribe the channel. Male, how are you, Male? Thank you so much for joining, Male. I really appreciate of your joining. Male, you did not do a super chat, my dear. Lana, why you are crying, my lovely honey? Why you are crying, my honey? Don't disappoint, my lovely. My mom said, oh my god, no problem, my dear, no problem, Lana. You are very, very, very cute. And thank you so much for joining my stream. You should also have to keep requesting to the mom. You know, the mom always have to grab. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. You should have to ask to the mom. She will, yeah, one day she will be agree for to do. But Lana, you are very, 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 very kind. Thank you so much. Esther, thank you so much for joining. Esther, thank you so much for joining my stream. I'm sick. I have to go. I'll come back next time. Okay, Lana, you should have to get a rest, my dear, and get a shower. You should be feel relaxed, and also your temperature will goes down, and also to get the medicine properly. And I pray for you, and you will have to get. All right. Why I have to forget what I was thinking to say. Yeah, I have to get well soon, my dear. Have a lot of respect of your joining, having giving a time on my stream. Have to watch, subscribe, and like, and have to get enjoy. Always to join my stream. Okay, my love. But you should have to get relaxed. Thank you, my player Lana. Lana, you Mark, thank you so much for joining. You are very cute, Lana. Okay, you also have to John. Thank you so much for joining. You have also to Salam, your mom, to ask her and to ask and also to share the my link to the hi, how do you Zana Live? How are you, Zana Live? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. You should have also to share my stream with your friend. How are you, Zana Live? How are you, Zana Live? Thank you so much for joining Zana Live. Where are you from? Watching my stream, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yeah, guys, do support chat and also make the like and subscribe the channel, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Lean, how are you, Lean? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Lean. Guys, hurry up to make a super chat on the stream for today, guys. To make a donation on my stream for the today, guys. Hello, Lynn. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. I really appreciate and respect of you joining to the stream. Thank you so much. Can you do my sister Leon? How are you, Leon? Thank you so much for joining. Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining. Why not, my dear? I write you a name of Leon. Where are you from watching, my dear? Lebanon. Okay, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. Kuwait. Okay, Kuwait. Yeah. Kuwaiti, you are Kuwaiti. Thank you so much for joining. I will write the name of the Ali. Why not, my dear? Can you do a small donation, my dear? Ali, hi Ali. How are you, Ali? To make a small donation on my stream. Thank you so much for joining my stream. To make a super chat on my stream, my dear. Leo, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Leo. How are you, Leo? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Leo, where are you from watching? Guys, please make a donation on the stream, guys. My dogs, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Nikami Vlogger, how are you, Nikami? Yeah, I'm going to write the name of the Nikami, guys. Let's write the name of the Nikami. She is very chappery, guys. Okay, Nikami, thank you so much for joining the stream. By the way, Ali Reza, Kuwaiti, Lina, are you watching my stream? Sorry, Leon, are you watching the stream, my dear? Leon, if you are watching the stream, just hi on the screen. Just hi on the screen. Please tell me if you are watching my stream, my dear. Leon, are you watching the stream, my love? Alize, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Nikami. Thank you so much for watching my stream. Yes, you are watching. Yeah, can you do a super chat on the stream to make my day, my dear? If you wanna, can do it easily. Yeah. If you wanna, can do easily. I have to make a small donation on the stream to make my day, my dear. If you have to do a super chat right now, I will go off. Yeah, I will have to get rest to make a small donation on the stream. इंसान बाढ़ में मर रहे हैं. Jonah, how are you, Jonah? Where are you from watching the stream, Jonah? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Jonah. I am not looking, I am just joking. I am going bye bye. What do you mean? What do you mean, yes, sir? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Alan, don't spam, Alan. Alan, don't spam, my dear. Thank you so much. Gorgia. Okay, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream from Gorgia. I have a lot of respect of your joining. Thank you. Thank you. Where are you from watching? Alan, where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for watching. Alan, where are you from watching? Write your tell me in your country name, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I have to respect of your joining, Tamil. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Tamil. I really appreciate and respect of your joining. Yeah, guys, I wanna thinking to go off for the stream. You know that's enough for the today. If someone has to, Yoliness, thank you so much for joining. Alan, where are you from watching, my dear? Can you tell me where are you from watching? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. You have to write your country name, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yalan, thank you so much for joining to the stream. You from Turkmenistan. Okay, thank you so much for joining my stream, my dear. Thank you so much for watching my stream from the Turkmenistan. I have a lot of respect of your joining to the stream. I was writing the name Gorgir. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Nikami from Japan. Thank you so much, Nikami, from watching from Japan. Someone is watching from USA, guys. Write in the chat. If someone has to watching from the US, Salimon, please. You did not tell where are you from watching. Yolen, you tell me where are you from watching, my dear. Who is Nawab? I did not know. Who is Nawab? Me too. Okay, I did not know who is Nawab. Let's write it Nawab in the chat. Yeah, I'm going to write. She is your sister. I have tell you where are you from watching. You does not answering on my question, my dear. Salam. Thank you so much for joining. Salams. I'll write the name of your sister, Habibur Rahman, Yasir. Ev, thank you so much for joining, Ev. You from Dubai, Nikami. Yeah, Nikami is from Dubai, guys. Always have to join the Nikami live, guys. If you have to did not subscribe the channel, she is in. She is Nikami Vlogger, guys. I have a blue icon. You will be showing in the screen. She will also send you, send laughing emojis. To hurry up, subscribe the Nikami laws, guys, and when you have to get, feel free to join the Nikami laws. Lina, thank you so much for joining to Satorim. I'm going to pin also the Nikami. Okay, let me go. So yeah, Nikami. Where is Nikami? I have to write right now. I have been in the screen, guys. Yeah, when you should have gone wanna be free, you will be joined the Nikami laws. Okay, guys. She has properly comes live in the night, around about 9:30. Yeah, around about the standard time of the 9:30, guys. Yeah, having to look the standard time of the Islamabad. Yo, Lina, I write your name, my dear. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Y'all, thank you so much for joining to the stream, y'all. So what's I have write? This is yeah, there is Lina. I have write the Lina, my dear. Alright, guys, who is going the today last super chat, guys? Anyone is there who is going to do a last super chat of the today lives? Then we will have to get off from there, guys. Yeah, if someone is going to do a super chat on the stream, guys, to make a super chat of the today stream, then we have to get off the stream, and then I will also back to the stream, guys. I am thinking to go off, guys. Let's complete it and then I will be go off, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to off right now. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much for making the donation on the today live session, guys. These are Superman have to make the donation on my stream to make a super chat and send me a gift. Have a lot of respect, guys. They have to make the day of. They have to make the day of God. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining, and these are all very respectable for me, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I wanna go off, and I'm going to write the Charlene, having the last name of the Charlene. I will be back to the stream within after 1 hours. I will be back. And thank you so much for joining to the stream. Lena, thank you so much for joining, my dear. BMW, let's write the last name. If someone has to do a super chat, hurry up to send me a super chat right now, guys. Yeah, if someone is going to make us Whitney, thank you so much for joining. Whitney, where are you from watching? Whitney, to do the some last super chat on my stream. Whitney, can you do a super to make a small donation on the stream, matter? Thank you so much, Whitney. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much, Whitney. Whitney, where are you from watching, my dear? Fazan, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Fazan. Yeah, to make a donation on the stream, Whitney, if you can do a super chat, my dear, to send me a small gift for the today's super chat. Okay, guys, take care of yourself. I'm going to off. Thank you so much for joining to the stream.